Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We are talking about none other than Rezolve AI in today's episode. We do have some breaking news to go over, a new press release from the company. This one actually sounds pretty good. Rezolve reiterates their 500 million ARR target to exit next year. But why is the stock just literally cannot get out from under itself? The stock is down over 5% today, hitting a new low you have not seen since August 27th. You're getting back to this big demand level where the stock kind of chopped around before it went through the massive rally. So you've essentially given back all of the rally that you've seen. Okay. You're getting back to the point of like early investor stages, okay? The stock is currently at $3.24 per share. There is a major level coming here soon, and we'll talk if it's likely to hold support at that level. That level is the 200-day moving average at $3.06 per share. I will tell you, though, the stock is so oversold at this point, it's not going to take a lot to cause a pretty sharp reversal in Rezolve. The RSI is at 29.28. 30 is like really oversold. 50 is neutral. So you're like dramatically oversold. You have not been this oversold since April of 2025, when the stock, around that area hit about $1.25, proceeded to rally up to about $1.95. Doesn't sound too crazy, but that was a bounce back of about 56.5% at the time. So typically when a stock gets this oversold, for no reason, you are set up for an eventual pretty aggressive upside rally. So we have a lot to get into in today's episode. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. We're going to look at what the short sellers are doing, the news today, my position, my expectations, all of that. So there's a lot. I hope you're ready to buckle up, sit back, grab yourself a drink if you need one for this video, because I know a lot of people are not happy with Rezolve, and I'm not either. Some of this selling recently has been just the broader markets. I think a vast majority of this decline has been just because of what's happening in the markets. Again, if you are a hedge fund or institution, it makes sense. Recession odds are skyrocketing. Like, things are not great in the economy. You're going to sell the stocks that are going to fare the worst in a recession. That's just going to happen every single time. Especially when you get news like we are getting. Caroline Levitt said today that the October CPI and jobs data likely never to be released. Hello. I wrote here in English, quote, "It was so bad, ... we just aren't ever going to release it." Yeah, that's basically what she said. Like, instead of spook the markets with a negative million jobs report, we're just not going to release it. Honestly, stocks did quite well following those comments, but it is like, what the hell is happening out there? I think it helps to explain why a stock like Rezolve just cannot get out of its own way. When, fears of a recession are this high, there's just nothing that matters for stocks, right? When you're a stock like Rezolve and recession fears are this high, it's hard to get any relief to the upside. Now, Rezolve did come out with some news today, okay? A press release. This actually sounds pretty good. Before we get into it, though, if you guys would like to come join the trading community, come identify, invest, and execute ultimately in these under the radar AI stocks that are crazy low valuations growing at hundreds or thousands of percent a year that Wall Street is ignoring. Check that link out down below in the description of today's episode. When we buy a stock, we're really buying a stock for 12 to 36 months, unless something changes. If something changes, then that changes my, forecasting around that company. For an example, I invested in a stock called NTLA, that's the ticker symbol, Intellia Therapeutics, gene editing company. Things looked great. That stock went from $8 to $27, $28 at the high recently. We were up well over 200%, almost 300% on that stock. Well, there was a liver event and the FDA paused their trial. The stock fell 45% that day. We ended up selling the stock with around a 60% gain. It was still a big winner, but that changed the story. Okay, that set the company back at least a year. And at that point, you have to look and say, hey, do I want to give this stock another year at minimum on top of what I was already forecasting, which in that company's case was like 2028 coming to market with their drug if it got approved? It just didn't make sense anymore to own that company with such a long delay. The situation changed. With something like Rezolve, nothing has changed yet, and that's why I continue to own the company. But if something does change, then that will change the outlook for the stock. But until that happens, I have no plans on selling. And I'll get into my specific position in just a few minutes. But long story short, if you guys want to come join the trading community, check that link out down below in the description of today's episode. I do think there are better times ahead for this market, generally for the AI area that we are investing heavily in, okay? I think this is the planting moment. This is where you're going to plant the seeds of your future portfolio's gains, okay? Whereas a lot of retail investors right now have long capitulated. They're out of these stocks. They've done hit the hills. Now, you want to be selective, right? A stock like Rezolve, as long as they hit the numbers, dirt cheap. Literally dirt cheap, okay? There's other stocks out there that even if they hit their numbers are trading at 20, 30, 70 times sales. I'll take Rezolve trading at less than 2 times sales any day of the week, okay? Now, here's the press release they put out. It says, Rezolve AI's acceleration towards 500 million ARR exit rate for 2026 attracts industry titans from Apple, Google, Microsoft, SAP, and Tata Digital. So they're doing 2 things here. They are reiterating guidance of 500 million ARR for next year, and they're essentially bragging or touting the executives that they have recently attracted. That's good because they're reiterating guidance, but it's not new information. Okay, so what I've been at this point like spamming executives at Rezolve about is this in particular. Okay. This right here, every post Rezolve makes, I am going to say the same exact thing, okay? I am fighting for you. You are fighting for me. I am fighting for Rezolve to stop playing games, okay? Every post, it's going to be the same thing. This post alone has 114 likes. The whole post from Rezolve, literally the post itself, has 66 likes. We are going to pressure Rezolve into answering one of these 3 questions, okay? Number 1, shareholders want updated current ARR. Or 2, a contract PR. Or 3, Rezolve to start reporting quarterly, okay? I write, this is why Rezolve trades at only 2x sales. Until you guys do one of these 3 things, please stop the PR. It looks bad when Rezolve doesn't share contract PRs, but do other PRs on a regular basis. It's like, why is Rezolve even saying things that do not add shareholder value? It's incredible, you know? Rezolve is a company that, you know, I still believe in, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to get into the whole spiel. You already know my stance on the company, but they only report every 6 months. If they're only going to report every 6 months, Wall Street wants to know updated ARR targets when they have certainty on that. Wall Street wants to see the contracts coming in, you know, and preferably wants to see the company report on a quarterly basis. These are not extreme demands for a company that only legally has to report every 6 months. Okay, so we're gonna, I say here, I literally copy and pasted the same post from yesterday's PR on the one today, and I say, I'm just going to share the same message until you guys respond. This individual says, this dude has 40,000 followers on YouTube. Answer the man. That's pretty fair. That comment has 17 likes. This post from today on their PR has 77. The whole post from Rezolve has 49. So if we continue to, you know, put pressure on Rezolve to give us one of these three things, it's not going to be hard to start reporting on a quarterly basis. You are going to see the stock react very positively to any one of these three things. Now, again, part of it is that. Part of it is Rezolve just puts out press releases that mean nothing. Okay, that's not great because it highlights like, hey, if Rezolve's putting out press releases that mean nothing, why are they not putting out actual like good news press releases? Is there any good news? Is there not good news? It's red flaggish, okay, to say the least. Well, the other part of Rezolve, the selling that you've seen, the largest chunk of the selling fears, I would say, is really just coming again from the broader markets. Recession fears have skyrocketed recently. If you're a hedge fund or institution, if you were managing a fund, you would be forced to sell Rezolve. You would be forced to sell a stock like Poet or UiPath or CCCX or any of these other stocks that retail investors like right now. Why? Because recession odds have skyrocketed. Simple as that. You have a fiduciary responsibility to do what's best for your clients. When risk goes up, risk assets go down every single time. I've watched it over and over and over again. It's not a surprise. We should not be shocked by that. So that's what's been happening. Now, circling back to this press release, it says, Rezolve AI, the AI commerce company redefining digital engagement through its proprietary BrainPower LLM, has become a destination for some of the most accomplished leaders in global technology. Executives from Apple, Google, Microsoft, SAP, and Tata Digital, and other world-leading firms have joined the company, which we believe is a powerful signal of confidence in Rezolve's technology, leadership, and long-term market potential. Some examples include Crispin Lowry, Savik Benjiri, Elizabeth Latcher, and Howie Gu. Senior leaders whose careers span decades at the forefront of global innovation and who have chosen to join Rezolve to help shape the future of agentic commerce. Crispin Lowry, Chief Revenue Officer, says, quote, Rezolve represents a once-in-a-generation opportunity. Quote, it's rare to see this combination of proven technology, visionary leadership, and perfect market timing. Everyone here believes Rezolve will be the next global platform for commerce. Dan Wagner said, quote, talent follows conviction and vision. Quote, when executives who have shaped Apple's retail strategy, driven Google's global expansion, built Microsoft's enterprise engines, and launched Tata Digital's ecosystem, join Rezolve, it sends a clear message. The best minds in technology see where commerce is heading, and they're betting on Rezolve. Now, Crispin Lowry, he brings 3 decades of experience scaling global technology and retail enterprises, personally recruited by Steve Jobs to lead Apple's multi-billion-dollar EMEA retail expansion. He later steered Google's Pixel hardware go-to-market strategy and built Microsoft's retail and consumer goods sales organization across Europe. At Rezolve, Lowry is driving global revenue, marketing, and partnerships, focused on rapid monetization of BrainPower LLM platform and an ARR exit rate target of $500 million by year-end 2026. Now, Savak Benjiri held leadership roles at Accenture, Infosys, SAP, and founding CTO of Tata Digital. Elizabeth Latcher, she's the most recent hire, led a multi-billion-dollar growth initiative at Oracle, Google, and Microsoft, where she transformed go-to-market strategies across retail, consumer goods, and telecom. At Rezolve, she leads U.S. commercial expansion and is building a high-performance enterprise sales organization to accelerate adoption among Fortune 500 retailers and partners. How Gu? Gu's international experience spans Canada, China, and the UK with a background at Deloitte and PwC before serving as Microsoft's head of retail industry. At Rezolve, he is scaling the company's global partner network across hyperscalers, systems integrators, consulting, alliances, a cornerstone of Rezolve's enterprise deployment strategy. Okay. It's great to hear these things, but it's not new. Okay. I personally like to see it, right? But it's not new information. Thus why the stock likely, did not react to it today. But again, the largest thing that is a drag on Rezolve at this point is the government shutdown and the recession fears. That's an easy one to point out. Now, Rezolve sits at about $1 billion market cap today, maybe a little bit less than that. They're targeting $500 million in ARR by the end of this year. The stock is dirt cheap. Okay. And the risk reward is highly favorable to the upside. Now, the 200-day moving average sits at $3.06. I don't know if we're going to hit that at this point. The momentum is obviously to the downside, but you're getting so oversold and overstretched to the downside. Again, it's not going to take a lot of good news to get the stock to react very positively. One PR on a contract could send this thing skyrocketing. Partnership with XYZ, you could make up whatever you want here, but it's not going to take a lot of good news at all to get this thing to recover. Now, mix that with the government shutdown that is likely to end tonight, hopefully, and maybe some clarity on the economy. If we don't get CPI, we don't get the jobs report, that knocks out some of the economic data we could have gotten yesterday or on Friday. But that does mean we still should be getting retail sales, which are said to come out on Friday. So lots of uncertainty there on what we would be getting as far as economic data. But just the government reopening is positive. I think the economy probably doing better than expected. It's a little worrisome when Caroline Levitt says we may never get the CPI or jobs report for October. Hello, how bad was it? But I think a lot of Wall Street has already thrown in the towel and called for a recession, right? Rezolve is trading at 2x sales. There is severe recession odds priced into this market. Hence why Rezolve is dirt cheap and not a multi-billion-dollar market cap company at this point. Short sellers look like they shorted about 3.5 million shares today, which just, again, easy targets here. Small cap, AI, they've been selling off for a while. And until the government opens and we start to get some clarity on the economy, I'm not going to be shocked to see these stocks continue to sell off. That is just the market that we are in right now, and you just have to accept that. But literally, when you look at any of the stocks that most retail investors are bullish on or own, they are severely oversold. Look at Poet. It has an RSI of 35. Again, Rezolve's RSI is at 29. On the 1 hour chart, it's at 27. UiPath, that RSI is in the 30s. Just any of these stocks, they're all oversold. It's not going to take a lot to get a pretty aggressive rally at this point. Now, as far as my position in Rezolve, it remains the same. I am neither buying nor selling the stock at this point. Okay. just, I don't think we're going to have a recession. I don't think we're going to have a larger sell-off. But in the event that does happen, I want to stack as much cash as possible. Okay. If Rezolve becomes $1.50 because Wall Street grows recession odds to 100% like you had in 2022, if stocks just start to completely disregard everything, which I think you're probably 70% the way there now, but the last percentage, like once you go from 70% odds of a recession to 100, that makes a dramatic difference in where a stock like Rezolve is going to trade. So I want as much cash as possible right now to buy if we do go to some of those extreme levels, okay, which we're pretty extreme right now, but not nearly as extreme as it would get if 100% odds of a recession start to get priced in. And I do still have $108,000 of positioning in the company, totaling 33,550 shares. So I'm like heavily exposed to Rezolve at this point. And yeah, if the stock were to collapse further, I want to be able to buy at really low levels. And, although I don't think that's going to happen, it is in the realm of possibilities. It's not impossible to happen. And, so that's the way I'm looking at things right now. But hey, tomorrow, I think the odds are good. We do see a bit of a recovery. How much of a recovery? Does it start a broader rally? That is uncertain, but the government should be reopening tonight. Should be. And that's part one. Part two, again, is getting some certainty on how the economy is doing. That we just don't know. There's estimates out there. People are speculating, but nobody really knows exactly how things are out there with the government being shut down. So again, let me know your thoughts on this down below in the comment section. 306 is a pretty big level. It looks like on this trajectory we're going to hit that, but that's not a guarantee. Things get really, really ugly if you break below the 200-day moving average. You break below 306, yeah, things start to look really bad. So, we'll see. Honestly, I've never seen anything like this before, so all bets are off. I've never seen a stock, meme stock or not, fall 62% from all-time highs when there has been no change in the business, good or bad. You can make an argument that hiring some of these executives has been a positive change. If you want to make that argument, fine. I'll make the argument we haven't had any good or bad news. And the stock is down 62% from all-time highs in about 2 months. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that before. So kind of a weird, unprecedented situation we are in here. Hit that like button as well as subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. Check that link out down below in the description of today's episode if you guys want to come join the trading community. It's a long journey ahead. It's a long road. And we're just getting started. Okay? So come join that link down below. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.